In this video, we'll show you the new Bank Feeds module. Bank Feeds and Bank Feed settings can now be found in the new Bank Feeds module. This dedicated module can be accessed using the navigation bar on the left-hand side. To access your Bank Feed settings, in the top right, click Settings. Here you can choose how the transactions are downloaded from your bank into Sage 50 accounts. You can select what time transactions are downloaded. You can opt to download them manually and select whether you'd like Bank Feeds to auto-match transactions when you enter the Bank Feeds window. In addition, you can check in approvals for any outstanding transactions from Bank Feeds rules which are waiting to be approved for posting into your accounts. We will cover this in more detail later. There are also individual Bank Feed settings for each bank account. Here you can check the Bank Feed status, choose whether any transactions created from Bank Feeds rules are flagged as reconciled, and should you wish to do so, you can disconnect your Bank Feed here. Connected bank accounts will show first in the list by default, followed by all other banks not yet connected. Let's look at the 3 stages of the new Bank Feeds feature. Choose your bank account and click the option to open. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to choose Bank 1210. We understand Bank Feeds are changing significantly. Therefore, we've provided in-product navigational tools to assist you with the new process. This help will appear each time you enter the window and help you navigate through the steps. If you'd like to stop the in-product help appearing, select the Don't Show Me Again checkbox. The Auto Match feature will match any transactions downloaded from your bank account to any existing Sage transactions. They need to have the same value and have a transaction date within 4 days of any transactions already entered into your Sage accounts. You can filter the downloaded transactions by date. To do this, at the top of the window, choose the date you want to include transactions up to, and the transactions will filter automatically. There are 2 parts to the screen. On the left, the bank transactions which have been downloaded from your bank, and on the right, the transactions entered into the Sage bank account manually. You can specify what information you'd like to include on the Sage transactions. To do this, use the drop-down menu at the top right. This can help identify transactions, for example by including details such as the transaction number, the extra reference, and the transaction details. Matches are indicated by the green link between the transactions. Here you can confirm if they're correct by clicking on Confirm, and this will transfer them to the Confirmed tab. You can unmatch transactions if an incorrect match has been made. And once unmatched, you can manually match the transactions within the To Be Matched tab. We'll show you this in step 2. You can also confirm all transactions at the same time by clicking Confirm All. For transactions where there is more than one possible match, the potential transactions are presented. You can view the potential matches and choose the correct transaction. Next, we'll take a look at the To Be Matched tab. In-product help will appear again with instructions and video demonstrations to help you with the transition to the new Bank Feeds module. Transactions shown here could not be auto-matched with any existing transactions in Sage. This allows you to manually match the remaining transactions. Searches can be applied for both bank and Sage transactions, and sorts apply to the transaction lists, including by date, amount, reference, type, or revert to default. Manual matching allows you to match multiple transactions, not just on a one-to-one basis. For example, this first transaction here has been processed as 2 separate transactions in Sage accounts. We can match the single transaction to both of the Sage transactions. To do this, either highlight the transactions to be matched and select Match Selection, or you can click and drag between two transactions to form the transaction link. If there's only a part match, you will see the orange indicator or part match badge on the transaction link. Once the full match is achieved, the transactions will move to the Confirm tab. Manual matching can be done for multiple transactions. If you're dragging to form matches, once the balances from both the bank account and the Sage transactions match, as shown here, they will move to the Confirmed tab automatically. The alternative again is to highlight all of the transactions and click Match Selection. Matching can also work the other way. One Sage transaction might comprise of two transactions downloaded from your bank. Again, we can drag to form the transaction links or highlight all transactions involved and click Match Selection. Providing the selected difference is 0, this will match them and move them to the Confirm tab. From the To Be Matched tab, you can also create any missing transactions. Click the Create option on the bank transaction and choose the type you'd like to create. Enter the transaction details, and this can also allocate the payment to an outstanding invoice if applicable. This can also apply if we have part of a transaction entered into Sage accounts but part is missing. We can match the transaction and then select Create to create the missing element. Here we have a part match for £1,000. We can then click Create and process a transaction for the missing £273.08. Within this window, if you realise you have recurring items missing, you can also view your recurring items and process these without leaving the bank feeds window. This will add them to the bank feeds window to be manually matched. Should you wish to ignore a transaction, for example, if it's a duplicate, highlight the item and click Ignore Selection. This can be reinstated if required. To view the ignored transactions, click View Ignored, and to reinstate these to the To Be Matched window, select Restore. It's important to note that if you leave the bank feeds window at this point, all matches will be lost and the matching process will need to start again. This will not, however, undo any transactions created during the bank feeds process up to this point. The final step is to review all confirmed transactions before proceeding to bank reconciliation. This allows you to review transaction matches and double-check your data before saving. By highlighting a match, you can clearly see and check the Sage transactions and the bank transactions that have been matched against one another. There is the search feature for easily locating transactions, and you can then make any amendments or unmatch any incorrect transactions, sending them back to the To Be Matched tab if required. There is also the option to export all confirmed transactions into a CSV file should you need to do so. Finally, we have the option to save. Save and Close will save your progress, transferring all transactions to the match box of bank reconciliation. It allows you to come back to the reconciliation step at a later point through Bank and Reconcile. If you're ready to reconcile immediately, then use the option to save and continue to reconcile. This will save progress and immediately open bank reconciliation for you. Enter your statement details and you can then see your transactions which have been matched during bank feeds are already in the matched box. Once you're happy with your bank reconciliation, click Reconcile to flag these transactions as reconciled. You can manage rules at any time, from within bank feeds in the top right corner. Here you can view any previously created rules and make amendments to posting details where necessary, or delete old rules. To create a new rule, the transaction must be in the Confirmed tab. Highlight the transaction and click Create Rule. Give the rule a name. In this case, this is a monthly direct debit from a customer, and then select the conditions the transaction must meet for the rule to apply. In this example, we're selecting both the reference and the amount of the transaction. You can also choose to set the transaction date, the sort code, and the account number. If the downloaded transaction doesn't meet this criteria, the rule will not be applied. Next is the Add Line area. Here you can specify the actions of the rule. Click Add and choose which account this transaction will post to, as well as the department if required. And depending on the transaction type, it may also give you the options of tax code and project reference. Rules can also be built to split a single bank transaction into multiple Sage transactions. For example, this bank payment for £100 can have a rule created to process 2 different bank payments to 2 different nominal codes. This can be done by adding multiple lines specifying the rule actions and splitting the balance accordingly. Here we're going to split this bank payment for bank charges across 2 different nominal codes. In the value, change the amount from 100 to the desired value, in this case £50. This will post to nominal code 7901 with the details of bank charges. For the remaining £50, we can apply a different nominal code and a different narrative to the transaction posting. At the bottom of the Create Rules option, there is the option to review any transactions before posting. If this box is ticked, you will be prompted to review when transactions are downloaded from the bank. If not selected, transactions will post automatically when the transactions are downloaded from your bank. At this point, saving the rule will not post a transaction. Click Save Rule and this will apply to future transactions downloaded from your bank. When you open up Sage accounts, if bank feed transactions have been downloaded and you've selected to review transactions before posting, the following message will appear upon opening. Select Yes if you wish to approve these now. Here, transactions can be reviewed. Transactions can be selected using the checkbox on the left, and either approved or rejected. If you don't wish to approve transactions upon opening, then any outstanding bank feeds awaiting approval can also be found within bank feeds and by clicking on approvals in the top right corner of the main bank feeds window.